Welcome to Nightline. I'm Brandon Wong. The headlines. Dewan Rakyat approves special motion to compel all lawmakers to declare their assets. And government to spend 45 billion ringgit on development projects, says Azmin. Good morning. The Dewan Rakyat approved the special motion to compel all lawmakers, their spouses and children below the age of 21, as well as trustees, to declare their assets. The motion was approved via a voice vote, with no dissenting voice coming from the opposition bloc on Monday. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Datuk Liew Vui Keong, said the move was aimed at leading the country towards being accountable, transparent and corruption-free.
Yang dipertua memandangkan bahawa pengisytiharan harta ini telah pun dilaksanakan oleh pihak kerajaan, maka sudah sampai masa untuk semua ahli parlimen, khususnya ahli Dewan Rakyat, termasuk yang bukan kerajaan, untuk membuat pengisytiharan harta. Usul ini akan terpakai kepada semua ahli Dewan Rakyat, suami atau isteri, anak yang hanya berumur 21 tahun ke bawah dan semua pemegang amanah yang berkaitan.
Datuk Liew also assured lawmakers that this motion is the first step for the government before drafting a new law of such nature. He hoped that the new bill will be tabled in the next parliament session. He said as soon as this proposal is approved, MPs will be expected to declare their assets within 3 months. Datuk Liew said the assets involved are monthly income and all movable and immovable properties both inside and outside the country. Meanwhile, PAS said it is against the motion to warrant the mandatory declaration of assets by lawmakers, as the government can keep track of parliamentarians' incomes through their income tax payments.
Ya ada dakwa. Dan kalau kita dah ada peraturan-peraturan yang ada, maka apa perlunya kita menggubal satu lagi, bawa ke muka usul satu lagi untuk diisytiharkan. Jadi saya fikir bahawa seolah-olah negara kita ni selama ini tak ada peraturan yang sempurna yang lengkap bagi mengawal ahli parlimen ataupun siapa-siapa yang melakukan penyalahgunaan kuasa, rasuah dan sebagainya.
The Kubang Korean lawmaker also reasoned that only ruling members of parliament should be subject to the proposal, as members of the opposition have no access to large funds for government projects. Datuk Tuan Ibrahim also stressed that motions put forward in the Dewan Rakyat must be based on a legal act, and that as of now, the motion, if passed, would only form a parliamentary requirement. He added that PAS would not agree to the special motion until a further detailed study into its feasibility as an actual law is conducted. Malaysia is expected to spend a total of 45 billion ringgit on more than 4,000 development projects this year to ensure sustained economic growth. Economic Affairs Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin Ali said the expenditure would be spent following the resumption of several large-scale projects. Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin said private consumption was likely to be Malaysia's future growth with sustained stable labour market conditions.
As we continue to work towards enhancement of foreign direct investment, there should be simultaneous efforts to boost domestic investment as well. E-commerce will need to be given more emphasis as factors to spur the economy and promote the democratization of economic opportunities.
He said this in a keynote address at the 12th Malaysia Plan 2021-2025 Kick-Off Conference and the launch of the 20th Malaysia Economic Monitor in Putrajaya on Monday. He spoke via a video recording as he is currently attending the 6th Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and non-OPEC ministerial meeting in Vienna, Austria. Datuk Seri Azmin said the private sector would come on board for growth and shared prosperity while working with the government to achieve the nation's economic goals. Meanwhile, Datuk Seri Azmin said the 12th Malaysia Plan 12 MP would revolve around economic empowerment, environmental sustainability and social re-engineering. The government recently announced that the 12 MP would be the first of 2 Malaysia plans to operationalise the efforts towards achieving the goals of a shared prosperity initiative.
These dimensions will complement each other towards realising our new development model of shared prosperity. They are also in line with our efforts to attain the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. These dimensions are to be underpinned by the principles of enhanced governance and new policy tools.
He said there should be simultaneous efforts to boost domestic investments as the country continues to work towards enhancing foreign direct investments. The government is proposing to decriminalize street protests through an amendment to the Peaceful Assembly Act, PAA. The amendment bill was tabled for the first reading on Monday by Deputy Home Minister Datuk Muhammad Aziz Jaman.
Tuan Yang di-Pertua, saya memohon mengemukakan rang Undang-Undang Perhimpunan Aman Pindaan 2019. Tuan Yang di-Pertua, bacaan kedua dan ketiga pada mesyuarat yang sama.
With the amendments, a lawful public assembly would include a march from one location to another. The bill is expected to be debated and passed during the current parliament meeting that adjourns July 18. The proposed amendments will, among others, reduce the mandatory notice period to authorities from 10 days to 7. Organisers will also have 24 hours to appeal to the Home Minister against restrictions imposed by the police on their proposed protest. Still in the Dewan Rakyat, Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Azizah Wan Ismail on Monday gave the assurance that any approval for refugees to work in this country will not be made at the expense of Malaysians. The Deputy Prime Minister said the government wants refugees to be employed to sustain life in this country, but that should not undermine the interest of local people.
Membenarkan pelarian bekerja di negara kita ini sedang dikaji dan diperhalusi oleh kerajaan bagi mengenal pasti sama ada diperlu dikekalkan atau dipindah. Kerana sekarang ini kita kena buat dengan teliti bagaimana kita nak berikan jobs ataupun pekerjaan untuk mereka, kerana kita tidak mahu menjejaskan kepentingan rakyat sendiri dalam negara. Supaya kita memelihara peluang pekerjaan untuk rakyat sendiri pun.
She said it will also be determined whether they are really refugees holding UNHCR cards and not economic refugees. Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Azizah was answering a supplementary question from past Member of Parliament for Sikh Ahmad Tarmizi Sulaiman, who had wanted to know whether the government is prepared to allow refugees to work in the country. Based on United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR statistics, Malaysia has 124,753 refugees and 48,978 asylum seekers as of May this year. She added that of the total number of refugees and asylum seekers, 93,138 or 53.6% are Rohingyas. On another matter, the Deputy Prime Minister also said that all schools which were affected by air pollution in Pasir Gudang, Johor will only be closed if there is an urgency to do so.
No reason, tak ada sebab untuk kita nak tutup sekolah kan. Satunya. Tetapi yang lain itu kita memang saya dapatkan laporan daripada JS, Jabatan Alam Sekitar, bahawa dengan skim-skim ni lain ya, berbeza dengan kes Sungai Kim-Kim. Dan setakat ini kita dah eliminate pada segi elimination dan berdasarkan pada siasatan awal, bacaan metal mekaptan tinggi iaitu the 5E resources tu telah ditutup dan dia membuatkan proses kelengkapannya dan mengarahkan pelupusan semua residu.
She was speaking to reporters at Parliament Lobby on Monday. Commenting further, Datuk Seri Dr. Wan Azizah said the Department of Environment, DOE, has carried out inspections at 72 factories around Pasir Gudang which showed normal readings. She added the air quality in the area would constantly be monitored, including the use of equipment to detect the chemical content of the air. The Health Minister on Monday confirmed that the level of toxicity in the Pasir Gudang district in Johor is much lower compared with the illegal dumping of chemical waste into the Kim Kim River in the same district. Datuk Seri Dr. Zulkifli Ahmad pointed this out after concerns were raised on the recurring air pollution in the district.
Tahap toksisiti dan keracunan itu adalah jauh lebih rendah daripada Sungai Kim Kim yang ada yang di ICU, ada yang intubated, ventilated. Kali ini is just ordered for observation. Itu hakikat. yang saya nak tekankan dengan tidak menafikan bahawa ini telah mencetuskan banyak kegelisahan di kalangan mak ayah, bapa, parents, because it is recurring. Lalu saya nak tegaskan, ini bukan nada saya bercakap ni, not playing down the issue, tetapi berbandingkan secara statistik dan secara angka. Anda pandailah pelaporan ni, it is not as talks, nanti memang besok keluar saya khawatir, ya. So jadi maksudnya, because I'm not playing down on this, ya.
The health minister spoke to the media after opening the 2019 Diet Quality and Research Convention in Kuala Lumpur. He also confirmed that there were no deaths and nobody was warded in the intensive care unit. Datuk Sri Dr. Zulkifli had earlier been reported to have said that toxicology tests to determine hydrogen cyanide and hydrogen thiocyanide and volatile organic substances had been conducted on the victims in the latest case, but the results were negative.
Tahap toksisiti dan keracunan itu adalah jauh lebih rendah.
A former director of SRC International Sendirian Berhad was asked to sign a circular resolution to hire Gandingan Mentari Sendirian Berhad and SRC International's corporate social responsibility CSR partner, even while he was seeking refuge in Bangkok, Thailand. The 42nd witness in Datuk Sri Muhammad Najib Tun Razak's SRC International 42 million ringgit trial, Datuk Subo Muhammad Yassin told the High Court on Monday how the documents were delivered to him by a Thai man identified only as Mr. Kun back in 2015. Datuk Subo said the documents were given to him when he was in Bangkok after the then CEO Nik Faisal Arif Kamil called him. He testified that Nik Faisal had said that he had unfinished business with the CSR project and the documents sent to him needed to be completed. He said Nik Faisal had made all the arrangements where a Thai man came and brought him the documents to sign. Datuk Subo made the revelation during his examination-in-chief by Deputy Public Prosecutor Datuk Isha Muhammad Yusuf when he was made to verify several directors' circular resolutions pertaining to the appointment of Gandingan Mentari and Ihsan Perdana Sendirian Berhad as SRC International's CSR partners. The former SRC director also revealed how the documents that were delivered to him already featured the signature of Nik Faisal, requiring only his signature to complete the appointment process of the two companies. He also conceded that he was not aware if the resolution documents were ever enforced after placing his signature, saying that was taken care of by Nik Faisal. Meanwhile, during a cross-examination by Datuk Sri Najib's lead counsel, Tan Sri Muhammad Shafi Abdullah, Datuk Subo said there was the possibility that Nik Faisal may have forged his signature on bank documents. The forgery was alleged to facilitate bank transfers involving millions of ringgit from SRC's accounts to its two subsidiaries, Gandingan Mentari Sendirian Berhad and Ihsan Perdana Sendirian Berhad. The cross-examination continues before Justice Muhammad Nazlan Muhammad Ghazali on Tuesday. MACC probing Telekom Malaysia over alleged irregularities in P1 acquisition. Welcome back. Malaysia's economy is expected to expand at a relatively moderate rate, with the gross domestic product GDP projected to record 4.6% in 2019. According to World Bank lead economist in macroeconomics, trade and investment, Richard Record, the GDP was 0.1 percentage points lower than in the previous forecast, reflecting weaker than expected investment and export activity observed in the first quarter of the year.
That's primarily reflecting slower than expected investment, as well as export performance in the first quarter of 2019. We're maintaining our forecast at 4.6% for 2020. We're still optimistic that we'll see perhaps a recovery in global trade flows. We expect to see global growth returning closer to its trend rate by 2020, and perhaps the technology cycle also beginning to move upwards again by 2020.
He was speaking to the media after the launch of the 20th edition of the World Bank's Malaysia Economic Monitor, MEM. He said while private consumption is expected to continue to support domestic demand, its growth is projected to decelerate to 6.6% this year. In the public sector, the continued rationalization of government expenditure will continue to weigh on its contribution, with the growth rate projected to stand at 1.8% for the year. Meanwhile, Malaysia remains on track to achieve high-income economy status by 2024, with Malaysia's gross national income (GNI) per capita standing at $10,460 in 2018, still below the threshold level that the World Bank currently sets to define a high-income country status. Khazanah Nasional Berhad on Monday appointed 3 new members to its board of directors effective June 26. In a statement, it said the new board members are Attorney General's Chamber of Malaysia Advisory Division Head Topuan Azian Muhammad Aziz, Sense Time founder and Chinese University of Hong Kong Professor Xiao Aotang, and also Lau Zengyi, who is Transcend Holding Company Limited, Senior Executive Vice President and Chairman of Group Marketing and Global Branding. The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission (MACC) is investigating whether there are irregularities in Telekom Malaysia TM's 2014 acquisition of a wireless services company, Packet One Networks P1. The government-linked company bought a 57% stake in the wireless broadband service provider for 350 million ringgit, with a further 210 million ringgit capital injection via newly issued redeemable bonds. TM said in a statement that it will continue extending its cooperation to the MACC as needed. It had been reported earlier that MACC officers visited TM on June the 13th over the P1 acquisition. TM had confirmed the visit by MACC officers to the company's headquarters, stressing that the visit was to seek certain information. TM currently owns 72.9% of the wireless operator, whose brand name has had several changes from P1 to WeBe and now to Unify Mobile. It was learned that a few individuals are being probed over the $500 million deal for possible irregularities. In Pahang, Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency (MMEA) foiled smugglers from loading 200 cartons of cigarettes on the beach of Kuala Rompin last Friday night. Its Deputy Director V. Panir Selvan Velu said their raiding team came upon a fibre boat in the midst of loading cigarettes into a lorry in the dark. The cigarettes, worth an estimated 300,000 ringgit, were believed to have been smuggled in for sale in the east coast and southern region of Peninsular Malaysia. The raid was the result of 6 months of surveillance work as well as information from the public. In Perak, a tractor driver was killed after he was hit by falling rocks at a quarry in Mukim Sungai Raya, Keramat Pulai in Ipoh. The victim, identified as 56-year-old Loy Tiam Fat, died at the scene after sustaining serious injuries in the 9:47 a.m. incident. District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Muhammad Ali Tambi said Loy was reported to be clearing the debris after a blasting operation at the quarry last Thursday when the incident occurred. Work at the quarry has been stopped until further notice, and the victim's body has been sent to the Raja Permaisuri Bainon Hospital. Over in Selangor, a factory worker who crashed his car into 2 traffic policemen in an attempt to evade a roadblock mounted by the police in Section 15 last Monday has been brought to the Shah Alam Magistrates Court to face 5 charges. Zulhilmi Muhammad Arifin, 22, however, pleaded not guilty to all charges, which were read out before Magistrate Rini Triani Muhammad Ali. Rini Triani allowed him bail of 13,000 ringgit in one surety for all charges and also ordered him to report himself at a police station every 2 weeks. The court set July 31st for mention. Coming up, dozens dead as explosions rock Kabul. Stay tuned. Welcome back. In Afghanistan, the Taliban has claimed responsibility for the powerful blast that rocked Kabul on Monday, killing at least 40 people while injuring more than 100 others. According to authorities, the bomb went off outside the Defense Ministry building during morning rush hour while the streets were filled with people. At least 3 firefighters then ran into a nearby high-rise located near the ministry's engineering and logistics department, leading to a gun battle that lasted more than 7 hours. Officials managed to kill one of the militants during the clearance operation, while others were still holed up inside a nearby Ministry of Defense building that they had run into. Monday's attack comes when a Taliban delegation and U.S. representatives are carrying out the 7th round of meetings in Qatar to discuss peace negotiations in Afghanistan. The 22nd anniversary of Hong Kong's return to Chinese rule was marked on Monday with violent street battles between riot police and protesters who smashed windows and doors at the legislature, forcing its evacuation. The deteriorating security situation also forced a humiliating scaling down of a flag-raising ceremony meant to be the focus of national pride, with some 5,000 people, including armed marine police, being deployed to put the area around the Hong Kong Convention and Exhibition Centre on lockdown. At least 13 police officers were also taken to hospital after they were splashed with an unidentified liquid that was believed to be drain cleaner during the clashes. Some are said to have suffered breathing difficulties as a result. This is the latest in a series of protests against a controversial bill that would allow extraditions to mainland China. The government has since agreed to suspend it indefinitely, but rallies continue amid calls for Chief Executive Carrie Lam to resign. In France, 500 riders in period costumes made an eye-catching appearance at the Château de Chambord on Sunday as part of the domain's 500th anniversary celebrations. The event is one of many festivities organized for visitors this summer. Take a look as we wrap up Nightline this time around.